Hello and good morning. Good morning. I am very excited to be here with you today for another one of our wonderful chats. I am Carice Laguerre, your Myo best friend. If you've been ever thinking about getting into myofunctional therapy, you're actively in myofunctional therapy, wondering why did I do this, or you are very seasoned and it's the best decision you've ever made, you've probably been here watching some of our videos. I am here every week live to chat with you, to teach, to learn, and to grow because the field needs a significant amount more of excellence in it. And I'm excited to kind of help to guide you there. So, welcome, welcome. We always start with our welcomes, and it's just such a pleasure every week to be here with you. I'm just going to remind you, as always, subscribe, turn on the notifications. We cannot become a field of really high standards of excellence if only a couple of people know about it. So like share, subscribe so you get all the notifications so you don't miss any of the lectures. A lot of times, today we're doing an AMA, but a lot of times people ask me like all these questions, and what I do is I send them back to a video that I may have already done, and so that you can be in the loop, in the know, and really get all the education that you're looking for and you're seeking, whether you're just getting started or really proficient and been practicing forever. There is so much room for learning and growth in this field. So let's keep this going, expand the reach. Make sure you drop a comment. Always at the beginning of these, I ask, just make sure that you say hi, hello. That way I know you can see me, you can hear me, and we'll get started. So I asked for questions. Just send me whatever questions you have about myofunctional therapy, whether you are new or whatever. And I think somebody who who knows that I do all these things and is kind of like, well, how do you even find time to do all of that stuff? Was like, yeah, let me send in this question. So I debated as to whether or not I was going to put it in, but I was like, if I'm going to put it in, it has to be at the beginning. It has to be like, how do you do this? Awesome. This is how I do this. Balance, I think, is incredibly important. It is hard to find balance. I think balance is something we all work on in perpetuity. There is no time, shape, manner where somebody's got it mastered and like you don't feel like you're letting one of the balls drop. But I had somebody once tell me, a mentor of mine once tell me that, if you think about life as juggling things, you can juggle a bunch of rubber balls and you know that if you let it drop, it's a rubber ball. It'll bounce back up and you can catch it and put it back into your juggling rotation. And there are some balls that you might be juggling that are glass, things that you don't want to drop. So you have to make sure that you're juggling that well. And the key to balance is really knowing which balls are, or which tasks, or which skills, or which things are glass and which ones are rubber. And so I would say that if you're looking to do more and you're like, I don't know how I can do more, it just feels overwhelming to you to even think about it, you can do more. Just understand what's glass. Like my family, my children, like that is a glass ball. I have to make sure I'm always able to juggle that and make sure that I'm able to meet those needs for my family and for myself with my family. And I have to make sure I do that. And everything else can be rubber. Like if I miss a week of a live stream, it's a rubber ball, right? Like you guys will be back here next time, hopefully. And then there's so much more that I can do if I don't have to dedicate time to that. But I will say that what I love about this is that it's gotten me so much better at speaking and creating presentations. There is nobody who can whip up an hour-long presentation faster than I can, and that's with 100% certainty. You cannot like tell me that after doing all of these every single week for over 50 weeks now that I can't do a presentation. Like I can do a presentation on pretty much any topic. I know how to research it well, how to organize the information better, how to present it better, how to really bring together a concept. And so I think that's what I love about it and why I keep doing that. So for me, this is a glass ball. I think that this is really important. So let's dive into some of the other questions that we can kind of get beyond me. This one, oh, I thought this was such a good question. Like, what do I think about myo and night lace? So night lace was the first of its kind, right? So it started with Photona, that laser. It started with the Photona laser, and a doctor, Dr. Harvey Schiffman, who lives, who I don't know where he lives, but he works literally like 10 minutes down the road from me. His practice is 10 minutes down the road. It is phenomenal. He does a lot of laser work, and his practice is called Boynton Laser Dentistry. And so what he was able to discover is that if you do targeted laser at the soft palate and the back of the tongue and some of the pharyngeal space and the velopharyngeal wall, you can get the body to establish collagen that will pull up and really like engage the soft palate, the velopharyngeal wall, the back of the tongue, so that you can get more space in that airway. So those people who are Mallampati class 4, who are really long droopy is a medical term. I every time I hear it, I'm like, why are these ENTs calling their soft palates droopy? But it's a medical term. So every time you see a droopy soft palate, understand that with myofunctional therapy, what we do is we targeted exercises to engage that musculature to establish that um, I hate tone. And so I don't want to call it tone, but the strength and the ability for it to sit up more taut in the airway. And that way you're able to facilitate more space going through. So night lace is associated with sleep and snoring because you're going to pull that tongue up and out of the airway. You're going to enhance that velopharyngeal space. You're going to be able to get it to really sit more open. So what do I think about myo and night lace? They're complementary because remember, night lace is really just going to do night lace, Sonoma Sleep. Light Scalpel has one too now. And like everybody has one. It's the same sort of thing. It's just called different names. But any sort of non surgical laser, soft palate adjunctive treatment to myofunctional therapy is going to be temporary. Myofunctional therapy, I think, is where you get more of your permanence. Now, when I say permanence, it's not like you're doing myofunctional therapy forever with your people, but when you've given them the tips, the tools, the tricks, the exercises, the ability to have that area targeted and they understand how they can go back and target it if they're feeling like they're not as strong, they're going to get more use out of the myofunctional therapy than they will out of the night lace. I think it is a great thing to do. Like if they've started it already, I would do absolutely myofunctional therapy and accompaniment with it. But when we get to like 12 months, 18 months later, and they're feeling like they need to renew the night lace thing, I would just say let's max out on myo and diet and your ability to manage through lifestyle means. So we're going to remove some allergens. We're going to get the nasal hygiene routine. We're going to keep up with our oral hygiene routine. We're going to make sure we're adequately hydrated. Like all of these things, that's what I would do instead. So I like Night Lace. It is very forward in bringing the field to a place where we can have things that are going to help sustain the airway without getting invasive, without saying, okay, we need to break your jaws and get into surgery, or we need to break your mid palatal suture and, push out everything with a Marpy. Night lace is good if it's like all soft tissue in the oral pharyngeal region. That's my opinion about myo and night lace. How much do hygienists make doing myo? Okay. Not everybody likes my answer to this, but it's real. I think a lot of people get into myofunctional therapy assuming that they're going to make tons and tons and tons of money. Like, throw it in the comments if that was your impression. You're going to do myo and you're going to make so much money that you're going to replace your hygiene income. And then put it in the comments if you realize that that's not the way that that works. I think a lot of people don't like my answer to this because I try to be as real and honest and open as possible. Now, with dentistry, we lose our investment 3 times more than a speech therapist who might get into myo, an occupational therapist who gets into myo, a physical therapist that gets into myo. You know why? Because it's two entirely different things for us, but for them, they're able to incorporate it into what they're already doing. So they've already established a practice, they already know how to work with patients or clients in a certain way that we don't work with these people in dentistry or in a dental office in the same way. And so you become overwhelmed with trying to figure out how to implement it. You realize that it's a lot of different tools, a lot of different techniques, it's a different thought process to get through a whole program with people. And that's where you're going to find a lot of your struggle. So, what I would say is how much hygienists make is very similar to what they make now. A lot of people are still doing hygiene and myo collaboratively. It takes time to build. Myofunctional therapy does not come easy. It is something that you have to actually grow. So you are going to be the person who's going to network, who's going to build up all the clientele, who is going to ensure that you're getting everybody to refer to you. You're going to have to establish yourself, really get good at speaking, get good at networking, get good at doing all the things. Okay. Most businesses, you don't make money the first year. And I think that that's the biggest thing. So if you're starting out and you're on your own and you're looking to make money, you're not going to make money just strictly off of Mayo, likely in your first year. Sometimes people don't make money in their first 3 years. That's just the business world. I mean, everybody thinks you're going to get into this thing, you're going to do it, it's going to be really successful, you're going to have so many people ready to work with you. And then you realize that it takes money to make money. You have marketing expenses, you have practice expenses. There's so many people who invest in all sorts of ridiculous things. Like there's no reason why you need a practice software. I don't know why people still teach to that. You do not need a practice software. Do not go spending a bunch of money on simple practice, because then what you're going to find out is that you're locked in. You really love this thing. If they increase their fees, then oh well, you're stuck there, right? Because you've got 60 or 70 or 100 patients you have to import into something else, a new system you have to learn, and you have no time because you've now grown a business. And so you've spent a whole lot of money doing things that you really shouldn't have. Um, I think business should always be managed as like a frugal Fran, even more frugal than most people would expect. If we think about Bezos and Amazon, he started it in his garage, yes, but that is the most frugal business you will ever find. I have talked about that before on this channel. They are always looking for the best deal. They have more money than any corporation could possibly have. Bezos has more money than 99.9999998% of the entire world. And in that way, he will still try to save a dollar if he can. And I think that's the best way to run business. So, when you're thinking about it, if you're going to run your own business, don't anticipate making a whole lot of money. Your first year, you're probably going to lose more money than you will. And most courses are not even supporting you to make money. They're supporting you through like the course and understanding the coursework. But if you haven't gotten a mentor, or you don't have any mentorship, or you don't have anybody to help you implement on site or in your practice, you're doing it wrong. That's just going to set you back. Your biggest blockade is going to be establishing a workflow, establishing your communication, being effective at patients, and being effective at really like talking about this thing. So I don't know, get it, get that reined in. If you're looking to work for a practice and that dental practice is like, well, how much should we be paying you? Depends. Now, if you are holding most of the responsibilities, like you're doing accounting, you're doing the payment, scheduling, marketing, website, content creation, you're doing all the things, you can make specialty wages. You can get a higher percent of a commission. You're probably more likely operating as your own independent business owner, and you would pay out the smaller portion of the funds or whatever fees or collections to the office. That is not how most people are doing this. You have to imagine that if you are working within a business, that business has expenses. So, how much is the office space that you are working out of? How much are the team, the administrative team that are helping to facilitate scheduling, confirming appointments, taking the payments, making sure that all the accounting is right and everything is, there as it should be? Are you doing the sales? Are you doing the scheduling? Like, who's doing this? Those people have wages. So when we think about what an office should be paying a hygienist for doing Myo, most times it's along the same wages as your hygiene wage for whatever that is in your state. Okay, whatever it is in your state. And if you're looking for like a commission percentage, more often than not, if you don't have all those duties, you show up, you do Myo, and then you walk away. Like, you do your Myo, you do your notes, and then you clock out and you're done for the day. That's probably going to be around 30%, sometimes 40% if they're incredibly generous. But if they're paying for supplies and the space and all this other stuff, you're not going to get the greater proportion of that. It doesn't matter that you paid for your education. And so in that way, I would say you want to negotiate to have your office pay for your education for you. That way, that's something that, we could talk about that another time. That's contracts. Let me know if you need me to go deeper into that, but that's a whole another rant we can go down. Why do so many people teach? Uh, I like this question. Everybody's like, there's so many courses out there. There's so many people that teach. Does that mean that myofunctional therapy is not really profitable? That, there's not enough people making money in it. So they're trying to make money off of people who want to be in it. Why do so many people teach? I don't know why so many people teach. I know why I teach. I teach because I love teaching. I think there are some people who do see a additional income opportunity from it. The fact that I'm here with you every single week teaching you, and you just get to watch all of this content at no cost, should tell you that I love teaching. And I love teaching for free. And like I said earlier in this talk, it's helped me refine my teaching skills, my education skills, refine my presentation, my diction, my mannerisms, my whatever. It's helped me to get really, really good at that. And so that's why I teach. There are some people who teach because they can. I'm going to assume, because that's all I want to do is think the best of others. I'm going to assume that the people who are teaching because they can are teaching because they feel they have something different to offer. But I would say before you sign up for anything ever, you really want to get a feel for how you interact with that person or how they can interact with you. If you've never seen them lecture, you haven't been to any of their talks, they go to different conferences, they speak, and you've never seen them on stage, you've just heard good things about them, or you've never had a conversation with them, I don't think it's smart to really sign up for a class. You never know what you're going to get. You're really gambling with your money. And so reach out to anybody who you're interested in learning from, and you never know what might happen. With that being said, this is a great opportunity for me to interject that I have a special goal that I am trying to reach, a very personal goal that I am trying to reach between now and the end of January. So if you're interested in Myo Pathway is my comprehensive myofunctional therapy course. It is not an introductory course. Yes, it can be considered an introductory course, but I hate the term introductory course. For the amount of money that you guys pay for this intro learning, it is foolish to think that you need to spend more money to do, another one. It's wild. It's absolutely wild how this field is and why there's so many courses and why so many of the courses are not efficient enough at producing highly, highly excellent therapists. So, with that being said, I have a special goal. Myo Pathway, go online, check it out. And if you're on social media, I'm on Facebook more often than anything else. Pardon me one second. Okay. I am on Facebook more often than anything else. You can find me, Carice Laguerre, on Facebook. Send me a message or email me, hello@themyospot.com. If you email me, shoot me an offer. what's your best offer for the course? You can look at what the price of the course is and you can say, hey, this is what I can offer. And then I'll either say yay or nay. So far, I've done 2 no's, I've done 3 yays, and one that was like a negotiation, right? Where it was like, well, why are you offering something that's so outrageously low? And we kind of worked it into something else. And so you never know where that might lead you. So let's see where that goes. Send me an offer and let's see. You might find a good reason to join. Okay. Do I need to be certified? You don't need to be certified. I really wish that myth would die. I really don't like it. It's a terrible myth. You don't need to be certified. Here's the thing with certification. Certification feels good because we are evidence-based licensed professionals. It feels good to say, yes, we're certified in something, right? But when there are no standards, when there are last time I checked, 8 different certification credentials, when there is no accrediting board, body, or anything registered with the Department of Education, so it's not even like a legitimate certification, it's just you're certified as per whatever random standards that are set. No, you don't need certification. You can get it, it can make you feel nice, but I, for the longest time, was not certified. And it didn't impact my career in any negative way, shape, or form. I think you need to build up your own personal confidence. I think you need to build up your own um, personal confidence is really the big thing. Your skills, you need to refine your skill set. You need to make sure that you are practicing in a way that people don't question you based on certification. Like there are some people with certifications that can't do what I do, that aren't nearly as good as I am, and spend way too much money to try to be less than what I am. And so I just don't understand the whole certification thing. I think that it's really, really important that you empower yourself. And so do you need to be certified? No. Currently, you do not need to be certified. Should you be certified on the off chance that maybe in the future certification will be required? I'm still going to say no because when we look at different types of things, so look at sound therapy, sound bath therapy, look at yoga, look at lactation consulting, which everybody is always talking about. Louisiana is the only state that regulates, I think it's Louisiana, the only state that regulates lactation. No other state, 49 other states, nobody else regulates it. I don't know what you think you know about the IBCLC, but they're an independent certification organization and they're an independent body, but they are not regulatory across the states. Like if we're looking at all these other fields and professions and other things that are also as lacking in evidence as myofunctional therapy, they don't have some standards where like you need to be certified. You could be a CBS, a certified breastfeeding specialist. You don't have to be a IBCLC. You could be a lactation consultant. You could be there's so many other like acronyms and letters and things. Like there's so many of those things. So I don't think for myofunctional therapy to not have the public awareness that it has now will ever get to surpass things that are much more common that everybody knows off the top of their heads. You know what a personal trainer is. You know what a yoga therapist is. You know what an IBCL, a lactation consultant is. If you know what these things are and they don't have standards and they're not certified and there's no regulatory body going over all of them, what makes you think myofunctional therapy is going to get that? And I'll just let that moment sit. Like, so do you need to be certified? No. If it will make you feel better, get certified. Please get certified. If you want the letters, let it happen. If you want to work in a practice and that's the only way you can work in the practice, the doctor's like, you have to be certified before you can start seeing people. Well, they're very misinformed because you have to see people in order to get certified with many of these places. So, yeah. All right. I think I might be running out of questions very soon. So if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. That way I can get to them as soon as I'm done with the questions that were pre-submitted. This was a good one. Mile before ortho, after ortho or during ortho? I have this conversation almost every single day because with consult and like new people or people that I'm working with or people who want to start up myofunctional therapy with me at the Myo Spot, it's the biggest question. Like, when am I doing this orthodontic treatment that you're recommending, or that, the orthodontist recommended me do, or the airway focused dentist recommended? That's really going to depend on the appliance. It's going to depend on the appliance. It's going to depend on how much access we have still to the palate, the roof of the mouth. Are you in phase one? Are you in expansion? Are you using a functional appliance? Many of those functional appliances you can very much still do myofunctional therapy with and should do myofunctional therapy with. Uh, I don't know. There are certain trains of thought, and I very much do agree, where if there's not enough space for the tongue on the palate, there's nothing you really can do. You can teach them some skills, you can do some breath work and some exercises. I don't know how your program is structured, if that's what you're doing, but I don't like to waste anybody's money because I am a frugal friend. Okay. So if all you're gonna be doing with me is breath work, I could do that online for free. Like, I don't need you for breath work. Um, what I could use in another sense is maybe some other modalities that's a little bit stronger. If you're doing energy work with me, if you're doing primitive reflexes, if we're doing all that while I'm in expansion, then sure. But there's no traditional myo that you should be doing if you don't have the space to facilitate such. And so just wait till after expansion. um, I have a lecture all about myo and ortho, and like why orthodontists don't really believe in myofunctional therapy, and why partly they are correct and why a lot of us are misinformed about that. If you need the link, let me know. Throw it in the comments and I will put it in the comments. That way we can link back to that from this. But within that lecture, I had this slide, and so I thought it was best to bring it back up. Now, myofunctional therapy has very few truths that are standard and go across the board, but here are some for sure. It does not in any way, shape, or form work without active participation and compliance to a daily regimen of prescribed exercises, activities, daily life tasks, and so forth. So it's not going to work without active participation. If you have somebody who's not even compliant with their orthodontic treatment, and most of that is passive, where they don't really have to do anything except keep them clean and like not eat certain things, they're probably not going to be great for myofunctional therapy. And so, like, let one thing slide and then you can get to the others. But if they're in ortho and they're not very compliant, they're not a great case. Please, like, just let them be not great at ortho, and they can come back to you when they're ready. um, don't don't send them to your peers. Don't be like, oh well, maybe so and so can work with you. That's not nice. OMT cannot work when there's a narrow vaulted palate that makes tongue rest improbable. So if there is no space, then please expand first. OMT doesn't work if the tongue has advanced the maxilla, as in many class 3 malocclusion environments. If the tongue is past the maxilla at rest down on the mandible, you're not going to get the tongue to flip back and get into suction behind you, and that's not going to help to bring back your mandible. That's just going to probably throw everything off. There are a lot of incidents when we're very helpful as myofunctional therapists. Like, if there's a deep bite, we're incredibly helpful as myofunctional therapists, because some of what we're doing is helping to open up that deep bite, and it's only after that deep bite has been partially resolved that we can start with mandibular advancement. We cannot advance in a situation where the deep bite is so present, and if you're not aware of these things, you're going to take on the wrong cases. It becomes very complex. Please go watch that lecture for myofunctional therapy and orthodontics and how everything goes together. But OMT can't work when there are sensory issues that alter perception, interoception, and or proprioception of the oral cavity or facial region. There's a lot of great things that you can do in that area. I will say that myo recovery is going to be in the myo launch course by Monday. I am finishing my recordings for that this weekend. It's been a long time coming, but myo recovery is going to talk a lot about perception, interoception, proprioception in the recovery from orthodontic surgery, orthodontic surgery, oral surgery, whatever the surgeries are. It's a really great course. I'm so proud of this one. And myo lacks sufficient evidence of results as a sole treatment and in long-term repeatable studies. So just understand what you're talking about. Like, don't go trying to talk to orthodontists assuming that, you know, these orthodontists should be right on board because we've got so much evidence. We don't. It does lack sufficient evidence. You will lose that argument every single time. So don't even try to have that argument. It's really best if you don't. Okay. All right. Ooh, yay. That was my last question because that was a tough one. I didn't like that one. Not that I don't like the question, but just like that was a hard one to try to answer and answer in a way that like makes it succinct. If you are interested in really learning more about what appliances do work and like where you can work as a myofunctional therapist on appliance in the Myo Launch library. So myolaunch.com, you can find the Devices Right course. That's going to be a great one where you can really get most of your information about appliances, devices, the myofunctional ones, and traditional braces and how everything kind of works together. Any questions that are coming from my chats? I see a lot of you. Thank you for writing or posting. I appreciate those of you who are watching on LinkedIn and those of you who are watching on YouTube. It's always great to see you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. What I'll do is I'll come back and I will, type up the questions and the answers for you either on LinkedIn or on YouTube because I don't see any questions right now. But I am so honored to have had your time and some of your attention today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week when we do another live lecture about fabulous topics. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Bye, guys.